War Commander Thekval stood on the observation deck of his massive ship. Through the clear walls he could see a small blue planet far away, Earth, the target world that would make him the greatest conqueror in Vorth history. Thekval was old, even by Vorth standards. His dark purple skin showed the marks of many battles. His forearms moved with the grace of a trained warrior. His red eyes glowed as he watched the distant planet through powerful telescopes. "Show me the surface again," he told his assistant, Zilmoth. Zilmoth pressed buttons on a control panel. Large screens came to life, showing images of Earth's surface. The pictures were clear, taken by their best spy satellites. On the screens, Thekval could see small groups of humans walking around. The humans wore animal skins and carried pointed sticks. They lived in caves or simple huts made of mud and straw. "Look at them," Thekval said with a laugh. "They are so weak, so primitive. They fight with rocks and wooden clubs." Zilmoth nodded. He was smaller than Thekval, with lighter purple skin. His job was to study the humans and learn their ways. For many years he had watched them through the telescopes. He knew everything about how they lived. "They are very simple creatures, War Commander," Zilmoth said. "They hunt animals with sharp sticks. They make fire by rubbing stones together. Their strongest warriors cannot even lift heavy rocks without help." Thekval smiled, showing his sharp white teeth. The Vorth Empire had conquered many worlds. They had fought against strong enemies with powerful weapons. But Earth would be different. Earth would be easy. "How long do you think it will take us to defeat them?" Thekval asked. "Maybe one day, War Commander." "Maybe less," but Thekval shook his head. "No, my friend. We will not attack them now. We will wait. We will prepare. We will make sure our victory is perfect." Zilmoth looked confused. "But War Commander, why wait? We could take their planet right now. Our weapons are much stronger than their sticks and stones." Thekval walked to another window. Outside he could see hundreds of Vorth warships floating in space. Each ship was bigger than a human city. Each ship carried thousands of Vorth warriors. The weapons on just one ship could destroy all the humans on Earth. "Because," Thekval said slowly, "I want this to be remembered forever. When we attack Earth, it must be the most perfect invasion in Vorth history. Every detail must be planned. Every warrior must be trained. Every weapon must be tested." He turned back to Zilmoth. "We will study these humans for 10,000 years. We will learn everything about them. We will know how they think, how they fight, how they live. Then when we finally attack, they will have no chance at all." Zilmoth's eyes grew wide. 10,000 years was a very long time, even for the Vorth. "War Commander, that seems like a very long time to wait for such weak enemies." "Time means nothing when victory is certain," Thekval replied. "Besides, 10,000 years will let us create the perfect army. We will breed warriors specifically for fighting humans. We will make weapons designed just for their weak bodies. We will practice until every movement is perfect." Over the next few months, Thekval's plan began to take shape. He called together the best military minds in the Vorth Empire. Scientists, warriors, and strategists came from across their galaxy to help plan the invasion of Earth. Dr. Mextar was the chief scientist. She was very smart and had helped win many wars for the Vorth. Her job was to study human bodies and find their weaknesses. "From what we can see," Dr. Mextar told the planning committee, "humans are very fragile. Their bones break easily. Their skin tears with just a small cut. They cannot run very fast or jump very high. They get tired quickly and need to sleep every day." General Kolvax was in charge of weapons design. He was a huge Vorth warrior with scars covering his arms and face. "Their weapons are laughable," he said. "Sharpened sticks, stone knives, wooden clubs. Our basic armor can stop anything they have." But Thekval wanted more than just basic protection. "Design new armor specifically for fighting humans," he ordered. "Make it light and fast. Our warriors should be able to move like lightning against these slow creatures." The planning went on for months. They studied every detail of human life. They watched how humans hunted animals. They learned about human families and tribes. They saw how humans made their simple tools and weapons. "They have leaders," Zilmoth reported, "usually the strongest man in each group. But their leadership is simple. No complex military structure. No advanced strategy." Thekval was pleased. "Perfect. When we remove their leaders, the rest will surrender immediately." The Vorth also studied human fighting techniques. They watched humans hunt wild animals and fight with other human tribes. The fighting was brutal but simple. Humans would charge at each other with spears and clubs. They had no advanced tactics, no coordinated attacks, no military discipline. They fight like wild animals, General Kovacs observed. All emotion and no strategy. This will make our job very easy. As the first year of planning ended, Thekval was more confident than ever. The humans were even weaker than he had first thought. But still he stuck to his plan. 10,000 years of preparation. The perfect invasion. The Vorth began building special training facilities. They created exact copies of human villages on distant planets. They bred animals that looked and acted like Earth animals. They even tried to recreate Earth's weather and environment. Young Vorth warriors began training in these fake Earth environments. They learned to fight against opponents using human weapons and tactics. They practiced capturing human-like prisoners. They studied human languages and customs. Every warrior must be able to defeat 100 humans in combat, Thekval declared. This should be easy given how weak humans are. But I want no mistakes. The weapons development also began. Vorth scientists created energy weapons that would work perfectly against human targets. The weapons were designed to punch through hide and leather armor. They were calibrated for human bone density and muscle mass. These weapons will kill a human instantly, Dr. Mextar explained. Even our weakest setting will be far too powerful for their fragile bodies. Thekval approved every design personally. He tested every weapon himself. He wanted to make sure that when the invasion finally happened, no human would survive longer than a few seconds in combat against a Vorth warrior. The ships were also redesigned for the Earth invasion. They were made to fly easily in Earth's atmosphere. They were equipped with sensors designed to detect human heat signatures and primitive weapons. The ship designs assumed that the most advanced human weapons would be catapults and simple bows. As the years passed, the invasion plan grew more and more detailed. The Vorth knew where every major human settlement was located. They had maps of human migration patterns. They understood human social structures and religious beliefs. When we attack, Thekval told his staff, we will know the humans better than they know themselves. But even as the planning continued, Thekval never thought to update their intelligence about human development. The images they had were good enough. The humans were primitive and would always be primitive. What could possibly change in just 10,000 years? The war commander looked out at the stars and smiled. Soon Earth would belong to the Vorth Empire, and his name would be remembered forever as the conqueror of the human race. 5,000 years had passed since Thekval first saw Earth. The war commander was now very old, but his dream of conquering the humans had never faded. The training facilities were working perfectly. Thousands of young Vorth warriors were becoming the deadliest anti-human fighting force in the galaxy. Commander Velkarn was one of these new warriors. She had been born on a training world that looked exactly like ancient Earth. Every day of her 200-year life had been spent preparing to fight humans. She knew everything about human weaknesses. She could kill a human in dozens of different ways using just her bare hands. Velkarn stood in the practice arena, watching her soldiers train. The arena was built to look like a human village from 10,000 years ago. There were mud huts with straw roofs. There were simple wooden fences. The ground was dirt, just like the human settlements they had studied. Begin the exercise, Velkarn commanded. 50 Vorth warriors moved into position around the fake village. They were the elite of the elite. Each warrior had been genetically modified to be the perfect human killer. They were faster than normal Vorth. Their muscles were stronger. Their bones were harder. Their reflexes were lightning quick. In the center of the village, holographic humans appeared. The holograms looked exactly like real humans from Earth. They wore animal skin clothes and carried wooden spears and stone knives. The holograms moved and fought just like the real humans the Vorth had been studying. Attack! Velkarn shouted. The Vorth warriors moved like shadows. They were so fast that the human holograms could barely react. The first warrior, Kextoda, reached the village center in seconds. A holographic human tried to stab him with a spear, but Kextoda was too quick. He grabbed the spear and broke it with one hand. Then he grabbed the human hologram and threw it 30 feet across the village. Another warrior, Nexpile, faced 3 human holograms at once. The humans tried to surround her, but she jumped over their heads and landed behind them. Before they could turn around, she had knocked all 3 unconscious with quick strikes to their necks. The exercise was over in less than 2 minutes. All 50 human holograms had been defeated. None of the Vorth warriors had been hurt, not even a scratch. Excellent work, Velkarn said, but we can do better. These humans were too easy to defeat. Kextoda walked over to his commander. He was a huge Vorth, even bigger than most of his species. His forearms were covered in scars from training accidents. His red eyes glowed with excitement after the fight. "Commander," he said, "these hologram humans are exactly like the real ones, right? Based on the surveillance data from Earth?" "Yes," Velkarn replied. "Every detail is accurate. Height, weight, speed, strength, fighting style. When we meet real humans, they will be exactly like these holograms." Kextoda grinned. "Then the real invasion will be even easier than this training. These humans cannot possibly hurt us. Our weakest warrior could defeat their strongest champion." Velkarn nodded, but she was not completely satisfied. "Let's increase the difficulty. Computer, create 100 human holograms. Make them the strongest human warriors from the surveillance data." The arena filled with new holograms. These humans were bigger and stronger than the previous ones. They carried better weapons, bronze swords and wooden shields. Some even wore simple leather armor. "These represent the most dangerous human warriors we have observed," the computer announced, based on analysis of tribal conflicts and hunting activities. The Vorth warriors looked at each other and laughed. Even these elite human warriors looked pathetically weak compared to a genetically enhanced Vorth soldier. "Begin," Velkarn commanded. This time the fight lasted almost 5 minutes. The human holograms were better fighters and they worked together as a team. But it made no difference. The Vorth warriors were simply too advanced. They moved faster than the humans could see. Their strength was overwhelming. Their fighting techniques were perfect. When the exercise ended, all 100 human holograms had been defeated. The Vorth warriors were barely breathing hard. "Impressive," said a voice from the observation deck. Everyone turned to see War Commander Thekval entering the arena. The ancient commander looked even older than before, but his eyes still burned with the desire for conquest. Behind him walked Dr. Mextar and General Kolvax. "War Commander," Velkarn said, saluting with all 4 arms. "We did not expect you." "I wanted to see our warriors in action," Thekval replied, "and I am very pleased with what I saw." "You are all magnificent fighters," Dr. Mextar stepped forward. She carried a data tablet in her hands. "The genetic modifications have exceeded our expectations," she said. "These warriors are 3 times stronger than normal Vorth. They are 5 times faster than the average human. Their reaction time is improved by 400%. General Kolvax was examining the broken weapons left by the holographic humans. "Look at this," he said, picking up a bronze sword. "This is the best weapon the humans have been able to create in 10,000 years. It cannot even scratch our basic armor." Thekval walked over to Kextoda. "Tell me, warrior, how do you feel about fighting humans?" Kextoda stood straight and proud. "War Commander, it will be the easiest battle in Vorth history. A human cannot hurt us. A human cannot outrun us. A human cannot hide from us. We are the perfect weapon for this conquest." "Good," Thekval said, "because the time is almost here. We have been preparing for 8,000 years. In 2,000 more years we will begin the invasion." The warriors in the arena cheered. They had trained their entire lives for this moment. Some of them were 3rd or 4th generation anti-human specialists. Their parents and grandparents had also trained to fight humans. Velkarn raised her hand for silence. "War Commander, what about human technology? Have they developed any new weapons or tools?" Thekval waved his hand dismissively. "Our surveillance shows no change. Humans are exactly the same as they were 8,000 years ago. They still live in mud huts. They still hunt with spears. They still fight with stone weapons. They are incapable of advancement." Dr. Mextar consulted her tablet. "Our psychological studies confirm this," she said. "Humans are not innovative. They do not adapt quickly. They are satisfied with their primitive lifestyle. In 10,000 years they have barely changed at all." This made sense to everyone present. The Vorth had evolved over millions of years to become the perfect warriors. They had advanced technology and powerful starships. How could primitive humans possibly compete? "What about their numbers?" asked Nexpile. "Are there more humans now than before?" "Some increase," Zilmoth said, consulting his own data device. "But not significant. Maybe twice as many as before. Still very manageable for our invasion force." General Kolvax laughed. "Twice as many primitive humans just means twice as many easy victories." The planning continued for several more hours. They discussed landing sites, invasion routes, and conquest strategies. Everything was based on their 10,000-year-old intelligence about human capabilities. "We will land at night," Thekval explained. Humans cannot see well in darkness. We will attack their largest settlements first and capture their leaders. Without leadership, the remaining humans will surrender immediately. How long do you estimate the conquest will take? Velkarn asked. No more than 1 day, Thekval replied confidently. Maybe just a few hours. Once the humans see our superior technology and fighting ability, they will realize resistance is hopeless. The meeting ended with everyone feeling confident and excited. The Vorth had created the perfect invasion plan. They had bred the perfect warriors. They had developed the perfect weapons. Nothing could go wrong. As the commanders left the arena, Kex Toda turned to his fellow warriors. 2,000 more years of training, he said. By the time we reach Earth, we will be unstoppable. The humans will never know what hit them, Nexpile agreed. Velkarn nodded, but privately she wondered if 2,000 more years of preparation was necessary. Her warriors were already so superior to humans that the coming battle seemed almost unfair. But War Commander Thekval wanted perfection, and perfection they would deliver. In the distance, the fake human village stood empty and broken. Soon the real human villages on Earth would look exactly the same. The Vorth Empire would have its greatest victory, and the galaxy would remember the conquest of Earth forever, or so they believed. Captain Binho was drinking his morning coffee when the alarms started screaming. He nearly dropped his cup as red warning lights flashed throughout the Korean Space Defense Station. Emergency signals were coming from every satellite and monitoring station in the solar system. "Captain," shouted Lieutenant Yujin from her control station. "We have massive contacts approaching Earth, unknown ships, sir. Hundreds of them." Binho ran to the main display screen. What he saw made his blood freeze. Enormous alien spacecraft were appearing at the edge of the solar system. Each ship was the size of a city. There were so many ships that they blocked out the stars behind them. "Get me President Ari immediately," Binho ordered, "and contact Admiral Yuna at Naval Space Command." This is not a drill. As his staff worked frantically at their stations, Binho studied the alien fleet. The ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. They were dark purple and covered in strange symbols. Some ships looked like they were designed for war, with visible weapon ports and armor plating. "Sir," called Communications Officer Tae Young, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." It's
in Korean, sir."
"But very old Korean. Put it through the speakers," Binho commanded. Static filled the air. Then a strange voice began speaking. The accent was terrible, and many of the words were pronounced wrong. It sounded like someone trying to speak Korean who had learned it from very old books. "Greetings, human tribal leaders," the voice said. "This is War Commander Thekval of the mighty Vorth Empire. We have come to claim your world for our empire. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist and we will burn your villages and take your people as slaves." The entire control room fell silent. Everyone stared at the speakers, not believing what they had just heard. "Did they just threaten us?" asked Lieutenant Yujin. "Villages?" said Officer Tae-young. "Do they think we still live in villages?" Before Binho could respond, the alien voice continued. "We know you are primitive creatures with simple weapons. Your best warriors carry pointed sticks and stone knives. Your leaders live in mud huts. You cannot hope to fight against our superior technology and trained soldiers." Binho looked around at his high-tech control room. Computer screens showed satellite images from around the world. Digital maps displayed the positions of military bases, aircraft carriers, and missile defense systems. Through the station's windows, he could see Earth below, covered with the lights of massive cities, sir, said Yujin quietly. "I think these aliens have some very old information about us." The transmission continued. "We will land our forces in your largest settlements. Your tribal chiefs must come to us with surrender offerings. Bring us your best animal skins and sharpest stone tools as tribute. If you obey, we may allow some of you to live as our servants." Binho couldn't help himself. He started laughing. The situation was so absurd that he couldn't control it. Here were advanced aliens who could travel between stars, but they thought humans still lived in caves and fought with rocks. "Captain?" Yujin looked concerned. "Are you all right, sir?" "They think we're cavemen," Binho managed to say between laughs. "They have no idea what they're flying into." The main screen showed President Ari's face appearing from the Global Defense Council headquarters. She looked calm but serious. "Captain Binho, what is the situation?" "Madam President," Binho said, getting control of himself, "we have an alien invasion fleet demanding our surrender." But they seem to think we're still primitive cave dwellers. President Ari raised an eyebrow. Explain. Binho replayed parts of the alien transmission. When it finished, President Ari was quiet for a long moment. They want us to bring them animal skins and stone tools? She finally asked. Yes, ma'am. They think our best weapons are pointed sticks. Admiral Yuna's face appeared on another screen. She had obviously heard the transmission as well. This is either the worst intelligence gathering in military history, or these aliens haven't updated their information about us for a very long time. General Taejin joined the conference call from Global Military Command. How long since their last intelligence update? He asked. Dr. Sora, the military's chief technology analyst, appeared on screen from her laboratory. Based on the language patterns and cultural references in their transmission, I'd estimate their information is at least several thousand years old. Maybe 10,000 years or more. 10,000 years. President Ari looked amazed. They've been planning this invasion since humans lived in Stone Age settlements. It appears so, Madam President, Dr. Sora replied. And apparently they never bothered to check if we had developed since then. Colonel Jae Wook, the military's top strategic analyst, appeared from the war room. This could be a significant advantage for us. If they've prepared for Stone Age humans, they're not prepared for modern military technology. Admiral Yuna was studying readouts from her naval command stations. Captain Binho, how many alien ships are we looking at? Approximately 1 million vessels, Admiral. Various sizes, but all appear to be military craft. 1 million? General Taejin whistled. That's a massive invasion force. Even if they're not prepared for modern weapons, those are still significant numbers. President Ari turned to her military advisors. Recommendations? Colonel Jae Wook spoke first. We should respond to their communication. Let them know exactly how wrong their assumptions are about our capabilities. No, said Dr. Sora. If we reveal our true technology level now, they might retreat and come back better prepared. We should let them proceed with their invasion plans based on false information. Admiral Yuna nodded. I agree with Dr. Sora. Let them think we're primitives right up until the moment they try to land. Then we show them what 10,000 years of human advancement looks like. General Taejin was already working on deployment orders. I'll put all global defense forces on high alert. We'll coordinate through existing command structures. NATO, Warsaw Pact nations, independent forces, everyone works together on this. What about civilians? Asked President Ari. Standard emergency protocols, Colonel Jae Wook replied. But honestly, based on their transmission, I don't think this fight will last long enough for civilian evacuation to matter. Captain Binho watched the alien fleet through his telescopes. The ships were moving into position around Earth. They seemed confident and unhurried, like they expected no real resistance. Captain, said Lieutenant Yujin, should we send a response to their surrender demand? Binho thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Yes, send them a response. Use the same old Korean language style they used. Tell them our tribal chiefs are gathering in the great village of Seoul to discuss their demands. Sir, let them think we're taking their threat seriously. Let them think we're exactly as primitive as they believe. It will make the surprise even better. Yujin nodded and began composing the response message. Meanwhile, around the world, modern military forces were preparing for battle. Missile defense systems came online. Fighter jets scrambled to staging areas. Naval vessels moved to defensive positions. But the most important preparation was psychological. The humans now knew they were fighting an enemy who had completely underestimated them, an enemy who thought laser-guided missiles were pointed sticks, an enemy who expected to face bronze swords with energy weapons designed for cavemen. Madam President, General Taejin said, I'm confident we can handle this situation, but I want to be sure. Are we authorized to use full defensive capabilities? President Ari's expression was firm. General, they came to our world and threatened to burn our cities and enslave our people. You are authorized to defend Earth by any means necessary. Understood, Madam President. As the conference call ended, Captain Binho looked out at the approaching alien fleet. War Commander. Tekval and his Vorth Empire were about to learn a very expensive lesson about the dangers of outdated intelligence. The aliens thought they were invading a world of primitive humans with stone tools. Instead, they were about to face the most technologically advanced and militarily sophisticated civilization in human history. This, Binho said quietly to himself, is going to be very interesting. War Commander Thekval stood on the bridge of his flagship as the Vorth invasion fleet approached Earth. Through the massive windows, he could see the blue planet growing larger. It looked exactly as it had 10,000 years ago. Peaceful, primitive, and defenseless. "Begin the invasion," Thekval commanded. Commander Velkarn activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Fleet Command. Execute landing protocol. Target the largest human settlements. Remember, these primitives cannot harm us, but maintain formation for a clean conquest." Across the Vorth fleet, 1,000,000 warriors prepared for what they believed would be the easiest battle in galactic history. They checked their weapons one final time. They put on their specially designed anti-human armor. They reviewed their tactics for fighting spear-wielding cave dwellers. On Earth, Private Dongwu sat at his missile defense console in a mountain bunker near Seoul. He watched his screens as the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The ships were massive and intimidating, but Dongwu had trained for this moment his entire military career. "Target lock acquired on lead ships," he reported to his commanding officer, requesting permission to engage. "Permission granted," came the reply. "Fire at will." Dongwu pressed the launch button. Across the globe, hundreds of other operators did the same thing at exactly the same moment. Satellite-guided missiles erupted from hidden launch sites around the world. The missiles were designed to destroy the most advanced military targets humanity could imagine. They carried warheads powerful enough to sink aircraft carriers or destroy fortified bunkers. Thekval watched in confusion as strange objects approached his fleet. "What are those?" he asked Velkarn. "Unknown, War Commander. They appear to be some kind of flying objects. Perhaps large birds?" The first missiles struck the Vorth ships. The explosions were tremendous. Ships that had been designed to withstand primitive catapults and thrown rocks were completely unprepared for modern high-explosive warheads. "Impossible," Thekval shouted as he watched dozens of his ships explode and fall from the sky. "Those were not arrows." "What weapon was that?" Velkarn stared at her damage reports in shock. "War Commander, we have lost over 400 ships in the first attack. How can primitive humans create such powerful weapons?" Before Thekval could answer, Squadron Leader Hei-In and her fighter wing reached the battle zone. Flying F-35 Lightning jets, the human pilots engaged the remaining alien aircraft at speeds the Vorth had never imagined possible. Kex Toda piloted one of the Vorth attack ships. He had trained for aerial combat against flying animals and perhaps primitive gliders. Nothing had prepared him for supersonic jet fighters armed with heat-seeking missiles. "Enemy contact," he radioed to his squadron. "But they are moving impossibly fast." "How can anything move this quickly?" Hei-In locked onto Kex Toda's ship with her targeting system. The Vorth ship was flying in a straight line, using tactics designed for fighting birds and simple aircraft. Against modern fighters, it was a sitting target. "Fox 2, Hei-In called, firing an air-to-air missile. Kex Toda saw the missile approaching and tried to dodge, but his ship's design could not handle high-speed maneuvers. The missile struck his ship and destroyed it instantly. Around him, dozens of other Vorth aircraft were being shot down just as easily. "This is impossible," Velkarn shouted into her radio. "Humans cannot fly. They do not have flying machines." But the evidence was right in front of her. Human aircraft were destroying the Vorth Air Force with almost no effort. The alien ships designed to fight primitive opponents were completely outmatched by modern military technology. On the ground, Sergeant Major Kehoe led his infantry unit through the streets of Seoul. The remaining Vorth ships had landed, and alien soldiers were beginning their ground assault. Kehoe's men were armed with assault rifles, grenades, and modern military equipment. The first Vorth warrior Kehoe encountered was exactly what the intelligence reports had suggested: a powerful, genetically enhanced alien soldier. The warrior was bigger and stronger than any human. His forearms moved with deadly grace. His armor was designed to stop stone weapons and bronze swords, but Kehoe didn't have stone weapons. He had an K2 assault rifle. "Contact front," Kehoe shouted, raising his weapon. The Vorth warrior Nexpile saw the strange device Kehoe was holding. It didn't look like any weapon she had studied. It wasn't a spear or a club. She couldn't understand what it was supposed to do. Kehoe pulled the trigger. High-velocity bullets struck Nexpile's armor at speeds she couldn't comprehend. The armor, designed to stop primitive weapons, offered no protection against modern firearms. Nexpile fell dead before she hit the ground. "What was that weapon?" Another Vorth warrior radioed frantically. It made no sense. It was not a spear or a sword. Kehoe's squad advanced down the street, encountering more alien soldiers. Every engagement ended the same way. The Vorth warriors were individually superior to humans in strength and speed, but their training and equipment were useless against modern weapons. They have some kind of distance weapon, Velkarn heard over the radio. It kills instantly. We cannot get close enough to use our combat training. In the waters around Earth, Naval Commander Sun Young directed submarine operations from the Korean Navy vessel Dokdo. Vorth underwater forces had established bases on the ocean floor, planning to attack human coastal settlements. Sonar contact, reported the submarine sensor operator. Multiple alien structures on the seafloor. They appear to be staging areas for an underwater assault. Sun Young studied the tactical display. The alien underwater bases were positioned exactly where primitive human fishing villages might be vulnerable. But the Vorth had no idea about modern naval warfare. Load torpedo tubes, Sun Young ordered. Target the largest structures. The submarines fired sonar-guided torpedoes at the alien underwater bases. The Vorth had prepared for combat against humans with simple fishing boats and perhaps primitive divers. They were not ready for advanced submarine warfare. The torpedoes struck their targets with devastating accuracy. Alien underwater bases that had taken years to construct were destroyed in seconds. Underwater assault force eliminated, Sun Young reported to Fleet Command. Enemy forces appear to have no understanding of naval warfare capabilities. Back on the Vorth flagship, Thekval was receiving disaster reports from every front. His carefully planned invasion was falling apart in minutes. War Commander, Velkarn said, her voice shaking. We have lost 60% of our invasion force. Ground troops are requesting immediate evacuation. Air support has been completely eliminated. Underwater forces are gone. How is this possible? Thekval demanded. These are primitive humans. They should not have any of these weapons. Tech specialist Wu Jin, working from a bunker beneath Seoul, was already inside the alien communication network. The Vorth had designed their systems to be secure against primitive human technology. They had never considered that humans might have advanced computer systems and electronic warfare capabilities. I have full access to their command network, Wu Jin reported to Intelligence Officer In Ha. Their entire fleet is using communication protocols designed for fighting Stone Age opponents. No encryption, no security measures we can't easily bypass. In Che coordinated the information warfare assault from her command center. Excellent work. Can you disrupt their retreat coordination? Already done? Wu Jin replied. I'm feeding them false retreat routes and jamming their emergency signals. They can't organize an effective withdrawal. The final blow came when the remaining Vorth forces attempted to retreat to their ships, but Inha had already coordinated with military units around the globe. Human forces were waiting for them at every landing site. This is Commander Velkarn to all Vorth forces, came the desperate radio call. Retreat immediately. Repeat, retreat immediately. These humans are not what we expected. But it was too late. The retreat was a disaster. Ships trying to launch were shot down by surface-to-air missiles. Warriors attempting to reach evacuation points were cut down by human soldiers with modern weapons. Thekval stood in his command center, watching 10,000 years of preparation collapse in less than 5 minutes. His perfect invasion force had been destroyed by an enemy they had completely misunderstood. War Commander, Velkarn said quietly, we must surrender. We cannot fight these humans. They are not the primitives we studied. They have advanced far beyond our intelligence reports. Thekval looked out at Earth, the planet he had been so confident about conquering. Smoke rose from crashed Vorth ships. Human aircraft patrolled the skies. The invasion was over and the Vorth had lost. Signal surrender, he said finally, and may the ancestors forgive us for our arrogance. The greatest military disaster in Vorth history had lasted exactly 5 minutes. Dr. Min Kyung walked through the prisoner holding facility, carrying her translation device and a cup of coffee. 3 days had passed since the failed Vorth invasion, and she was still amazed by what had happened. The most advanced alien civilization in the galaxy had been defeated in 5 minutes because they thought humans still lived in caves. She stopped at cell number 7, where Commander Velkarn sat on a simple metal bench. The alien warrior looked nothing like the terrifying invader she had been just days ago. Her purple skin was pale and her forearms hung limp at her sides. Her red eyes stared at the floor. "Good morning, Commander," Dr. Min Kyung said in perfect Vorth language. Velkarn looked up in surprise. You speak our language?" "Yes," Dr. Min Kyung replied, sitting down across from her. "We learned it from your communication signals. It took our computers about 6 hours to fully understand your language structure." 6 hours? Velkarn sounded amazed. "It took us decades to learn your ancient human languages." "Ancient languages," Dr. Min Kyung repeated. "That's part of the problem, isn't it? Your information about us was very old." Velkarn nodded slowly. 10,000 years old. We thought you would still be the same." Dr. Min Kyung opened her notebook. Over the past 3 days, she had interviewed dozens of captured Vorth soldiers. Each conversation had revealed more about the massive intelligence failure that led to the invasion disaster. "Tell me about your training," Dr. Min Kyung said gently. "What did you prepare for?" Velkarn was quiet for a moment. Then she began to speak. "We prepared to fight humans with spears and stone knives. We trained against opponents wearing animal skins and leather armor. Our weapons were designed to penetrate hide and bone, not the metal suits your soldiers wear." "You mean body armor? Is that what you call it?" "Yes, our energy weapons were calibrated for organic targets. They barely scratched your soldiers' metal protection." Dr. Min Kyung made notes. "What about our vehicles? Our aircraft?" Velkarn shook her head. "We never imagined humans could build such things. Our intelligence said you were barely capable of making simple tools. Flying machines that move faster than sound? Impossible, we thought. But you can travel between stars," Dr. Min Kyung pointed out. "Surely you understand advanced technology." "Yes, but we assumed humans could not advance. In our observations, you were simple creatures." "We thought you would always be simple creatures." Dr. Min Kyung leaned forward. "Commander, in 10,000 years, did your people ever check on human development? Did anyone suggest updating your intelligence?" Velkarn looked embarrassed. War Commander Thekval said it was unnecessary. He said humans were too primitive to change. He said 10,000 years was nothing for a species like yours. Meanwhile, on the other side of the facility, Captain Jin-A was preparing for a very different kind of mission. While Dr. Min Kyung interviewed prisoners, Jin-A was getting ready to visit the Vorth homeworld as Earth's first diplomatic representative. The trip would be made in a captured Vorth ship, modified with human technology. The irony was not lost on anyone. Humans would travel to the alien homeworld using the invaders' own technology, improved with human engineering. "Are you ready for this?" asked President Ari during the final briefing. "As ready as anyone can be for first contact with an alien civilization," Jin-A replied. "Especially one that just tried to invade us." General Tae-jin reviewed the mission parameters. "Remember, this is a diplomatic mission, not a military one. We want to establish peaceful relations, not start a war." "Even after they tried to conquer us?" Jin-A asked. Admiral Yuna answered. "Especially because they tried to conquer us. They made a mistake based on bad information. Now we have a chance to turn former enemies into allies." Dr. Sora had prepared detailed files on Vorth culture and technology. Based on our analysis of their equipment and prisoner interviews, the Vorth are actually quite advanced. Their biggest weakness was intelligence gathering, not technological capability, which makes them potentially valuable allies. Colonel Jae-wook added, "A species that can build starships and travel between galaxies could be very helpful to human expansion into space." The journey to the Vorth homeworld took 2 weeks. When Jin-A's ship arrived at Vorth Prime, the reaction was immediate and intense. No one had expected to see one of their own ships returning so quickly, especially with human modifications visible on the hull. War Commander Thekval met Jin-A at the landing platform. The ancient Vorth leader looked even older than before, crushed by the weight of his failure. His forearms trembled as he approached the human diplomat. "I am Captain Jin-A of Earth," she said in perfect Vorth language. "I come seeking peace between our peoples." Thekval stared at her for a long moment. "You speak our language perfectly." "We are quick learners," Jin-A replied. "That is something you discovered during your invasion attempt." "Indeed," Thekval said sadly. "I have brought shame upon the Vorth Empire. 10,000 years of preparation and we lasted only minutes against your people." Jin-A was led to the Vorth High Council chambers. The room was filled with alien leaders who had expected to be celebrating a great victory. Instead, they were trying to understand the worst military disaster in their history. Honored leaders of the Vorth Empire, Janae began. I bring greetings from the people of Earth. We wish to discuss the future relationship between our species. Council Leader Morthen spoke first. Human Captain, we attacked your world unprovoked. We threatened your people with slavery and death. Why do you offer us peace instead of revenge? Janae had prepared for this question. Because we understand that your attack was based on a misunderstanding. You thought you were fighting primitive cave dwellers. You had no idea that humans had advanced technologically. But we should have known, Thekval said from his seat. Any competent military force would have updated their intelligence. We were arrogant and foolish, perhaps, Janae agreed. But now we have an opportunity to learn from each other. Humans are curious about other species and other worlds. We would like to explore the galaxy and you could help us. What do you want from us? Asked Council Leader Morthen. Knowledge, Janae replied. You have been traveling between stars for thousands of years. You know about other alien species, other worlds, other technologies. In return, we can share our own knowledge and capabilities. Dr. Zilmoth, who had been silent until now, spoke up. What about our prisoners? The warriors you captured during the invasion? They will be returned to you safely, Janae said. We do not believe in punishing soldiers who were following orders based on incorrect information. The negotiations continued for several days. Slowly, a framework for cooperation began to emerge. The Vorth would share their knowledge of space travel and alien civilizations. Humans would share their rapid technological development and innovative thinking. There is one thing I must ask, Thekval said during the final session. How did humans advance so quickly? In 10,000 years, you went from stone tools to space travel. This seems impossible, Janae smiled. That's the thing about humans, War Commander. We never stop changing. We never stop improving. We never stop learning. 10,000 years ago, we were using stone tools. Today, we travel to other stars. Tomorrow, who knows? We studied your ancient behavior patterns, Dr. Zilmoth said. You seem so simple, so limited. Individual humans are limited, Janae agreed. But humanity as a whole learns and grows constantly. Each generation builds on the knowledge of the previous generation. Progress accelerates over time. Thekval shook his head in amazement. We assumed you would always remain the same. We planned for the humans of the past, not the humans of the present. A mistake we will not make again, promised Council Leader Morthen. 3 months later, Dr. Min Kyung published her report on the Vorth invasion. The document became required reading at military academies around the world. Its central lesson was simple. Never underestimate your opponent and always keep your intelligence current. The Vorth, meanwhile, completely restructured their military planning processes. They established permanent monitoring stations to observe any species they might one day encounter. They created rapid intelligence update systems. Most importantly, they learned to respect the potential for change and growth in other species. Commander Velkarn, now working as a military advisor to the Joint Human-Vorth Cooperation Project, often spoke to new recruits about the invasion. We were the best warriors in the galaxy, she would tell them. We were perfectly trained, perfectly equipped, and perfectly prepared for the wrong enemy. The humans we fought were nothing like the humans we had studied. That taught us the most important military lesson of all. Know your enemy and know them now, not 10,000 years ago. The failed invasion became the foundation for one of the most successful interspecies alliances in galactic history. The Vorth learned to appreciate human adaptability and innovation. Humans learned to respect Vorth military discipline and technological expertise. And War Commander Thekval, despite his humiliating defeat, became known as the leader who turned humanity's greatest threat into their greatest ally. Sometimes the best victories come from the worst defeats. The galaxy was a much more interesting place with humans and Vorth working together instead of fighting each other.